Haha, day two. Day two of the principles. Ask yourself this. Is it better to be honest with yourself or dishonest? I'll let you answer that one. And in this video, I'm going to cover what self-honesty really is, what it looks like, and why it may be the missing key that you haven't even seen all along, because we're designed from in the womb and then especially throughout childhood to become dishonest, meaning we learn different ways to deceive ourselves and not even see what's in front of our eyes. Let's just look at in the current state of the world and in our lives. We're going around not even keeping our agreements with each other. We say we're going to be somewhere and then we don't show up on time, things like that. You're breaking integrity when you do that, and I'll get more into that a little bit later in this video. But this is really important for us to look at, and a lot of you are going to see the title of this video, and you're going to say, oh yeah, whatever, I'm just going to keep scrolling through Facebook because there's a lot more dopamine releasing things you could watch. But I promise you, when you figure out self-honesty, this brings you to the next level of how you can actually interface with your world and people around you. Because again, is it best to be honest with yourself, or are you going to choose to be dishonest? Now, I'm here at Whole Foods waiting for Jess. She's doing a juice fast, and we had to get here to get some watermelons before it closed, so bear with me. I'm not in the ideal setting for this, but it's important because yesterday I committed to these 13 days talking about the 13 principles that I stand by and I live by. And the second one is self-honesty. It's that important. Self-honesty is the beginning of real wisdom, because a lot of us, every one of us, is afraid to really look deep into ourselves, to be intimate with ourselves. So here's our jumping off point. I call it self-honest self-reflection. So here's something practical that you can do. This is what I do. Every Saturday, I schedule time in my calendar, just 30 minutes. And I call it Self-Reflection Saturdays. And I look back at my week, at what I did, and I'm honest with myself. There's no one else in the room. It's just me. I don't have to pretend or put on a face or anything like that. It's just me and myself and my self-honesty. And at the beginning, it may suck. You may not want to be honest with yourself, but I promise you, as you just do little bits, it's like building a muscle. Like, you can't just go from nothing to full-on flexing with your self-honesty muscle, but you build it up little bit by little bit. And so I would suggest once a week, put it in your calendar. You could literally, if you have iPhone or however you do it on Android, hold down the home button, say, hey Siri, remind me every Saturday at 11 a.m. to ask myself, am I being honest with myself? How can I improve? It'd be really that simple. That's literally what I do. I have it in my calendar as well. But without building that in, you have no real honesty with yourself on, are you being self-honest? You might have to watch that one again. You might have to watch this one again to get that. You got to be self-honest in your willingness to be self-honest. And look at yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because when you can look at all of those, you get to start seeing, well, where are your weaknesses and how do you build them into strengths? And where are you strong? Because that kind of self-honest self-reflection, that's what will help you actually get where you want to go in your life and stop the suffering. Let's see if I can pull up the definition itself. I'll post it in the comments here, that way I can see it too. Okay, I'm going to read this. This is the breakdown of the principle. Reflecting on myself and seeing every part of me, the good, bad, and ugly, without bias or judgment, so that I can take responsibility to change that which I no longer accept and allow. That's a very loaded statement. Let's unpack it. So reflecting, right? Like I suggested, put it in your calendar. Or another thing you can do, put a post-it note somewhere where you're going to see it every day. Maybe on the mirror in your bathroom or on your desk, or put it on the background on your phone and phrase it as this question: am I being honest with myself? Question mark. Or where do I need to be more honest with myself? Question mark. And that will force you, because questions will force your mind to start thinking about, and you know the thing. I know the thing for myself that I gotta really be honest with, and then you start changing it, and then you actually really start opening up. Right? Self-honesty, for anyone who's in Jinn, self-honesty is actual teachability. Willingness to learn, willingness to change, willingness to look at yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's the beginning, reflecting on myself and seeing every part of me, not just the good part, but also not just the parts you want to change. Right? You got to be self-honest and realize, hey, I'm capable of a lot here. Actually give yourself some credit, because you're alive at this time and you have a gift, which is life, and let's use it. So there are good aspects that you can nurture, because you got to be self-honest. There's good within you. We just got to pull it out and express it. So now we get into the part of self-honesty, talking about without bias or judgment. Now that is an art form. How do you reflect on yourself without bias or judgment? Well, I'm not going to pull out the dictionary right now and look into bias and judgment themselves, but think about it like this. Look at yourself in the context of your life, and don't see yourself or others as separate. Okay, this is kind of deep, but if you really look at it and you're really honest with yourself, you'll see what I'm saying is true. We, as humans, everyone watching this, everyone you've ever seen today, everyone in your entire life, your best friend and your worst enemy, we're all equal. We're equal in value. No one is better, no one is worse. We're all equal. One life equals one life. So we're equal and we're one, in the sense that we are all literally made out of the same thing, the earth. So when you're really honest with yourself and you look at the world, the current state of things, real self-honesty is not seeing it in separation. You see it as it is you. And granted, if someone else gets, sucker punched, are you going to feel their pain? No, you can't. They have their own body. So they're separate in that sense. But look at humanity and realize our oneness, much like the cells in your body. None of the cells in your body are saying, oh yeah, I'm better than you, and then they just stop working together. Or one just siphons off all the resources and doesn't give. It's like, imagine if your heart tried to do that to your liver. You'd be screwed. But humans do that all the time, because humans are dishonest. And that's why I'm making and sharing these videos, to bring common sense to everybody, because I've come to learn, realize, integrate, and study this material, and self-honesty is key. Not just a nice to have, it's essential. So it's reflecting on ourselves, looking at what we've accepted and allowed ourselves to become, but without bias and judgment. See yourself and see there's both innocence within you, and you've accepted a lot of BS along the way, as have I, as has everyone, because we currently have a system that's dishonest and it's not best, right? We prioritize money and capital and profit over life. It's quite screwed up, but now here we go. This is without bias or judgment. So I'm not judging the people who, let's say Jeff Bezos, right? The richest man in the world. I looked up the other day, he makes, guess how much money Jeff Bezos makes every hour? Just guess. Just put a number in your mind. You can leave a number in the comments. How much do you think Jeff Bezos makes per hour? There's a reason I'm saying this. Okay, he makes $4.4 million every hour. That's ridiculous. And at the same time, like I was saying in my video yesterday, we currently have, it's like 20,000 kids every day die from famine. Oh, from preventable causes, beyond famine. But okay, that's human life that's dying. When Jeff Bezos is, I'm not, again, this is without bias or judgment. This is just common sense looking at what's going on. Now let's bring self-honesty into the mix. So this is the second part of, after we get through this description, which I put in the description here in the live stream. So it's reflecting on myself and seeing every part of me, the good, bad, and ugly, without bias or judgment. Now this, the real deal. And you'll see in the coming videos that I'm going to have over the next few days, this is the next essential part of this. So that I can take responsibility to change that which I no longer accept and allow. Okay. If self-honesty isn't clicking yet, think about this. Have you ever, okay, imagine you are on a diet. And if you've never been on a diet, just put yourself in those shoes. Now there's a self-honest diet and a self-dishonest diet. Does that give you a clear picture in your mind of what self-honesty looks like? Self-honesty would be abiding by the freaking diet that you agreed to. Self-dishonesty would be wavering in that decision. And you say, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to diet. I'm no cake for me, no extra sugar or whatever. But you kind of let yourself cave. Okay? That's self-dishonesty. But now it's back to the top. Reflect on yourself. And without bias or judgment, just look at it. And then day 3, so tomorrow I'm going to get into how you can apply self-forgiveness within the context of us screwing up and then us taking responsibility, forgiving ourselves for what we've accepted and allowed, and then actually correcting that behavior so it doesn't need to keep happening, which is very, very powerful stuff. So stay tuned for that. But all of that is built on this foundation of self-honesty, because if you're doing the self-dishonesty game, you're screwed. Just simple. So now it's time to take responsibility to change that which we no longer accept and allow. My friend Asif and I made a really cool video on this in the Self-Perfected group, where we were talking about self-honesty and self-forgiveness and how they work hand in hand. So self-forgiveness, I'll get into again a bit more tomorrow and in the future videos to come. But self-forgiveness is like, okay, have you ever held blame toward yourself? Or like held a grudge toward yourself or hated on yourself and beat yourself up? I'm sure you have. That's very common. So self-forgiveness is a process by which you can actually stop beating yourself up. There's some quote by Gandhi or Buddha or someone, I don't know who said it, but they were talking about like anger is like holding onto a coal, and is it like jealousy or anger is like holding onto a coal, like hoping it's going to burn the other person. In reality, you just burn yourself. So forgiveness is the solution to that, okay? You're walking around with a bunch of hot coals of you judging yourself and beating yourself up. So there's self-forgiveness as a process to do that. But, not so fast. Self-forgiveness and self-honesty. If you have self-forgiveness, it's good. But if you don't have self-honesty, you're going to just forgive yourself. You don't even know what to forgive yourself for, because you're not even honest with yourself. So I forgive myself for, and you'll just blame other people. And you won't actually take responsibility. That's a very deep point right there. A lot of you may not realize the extent to which that point highlights responsibility in the self-forgiveness process. And we got self-forgiveness, but then self-honesty. Because if you're just self-honest, you may end up hating yourself because you don't even know how to deal with it. You start to really look at yourself and the mess your life has become, and how you've treated people, how you've treated yourself, how you've fallen short, how you've made commitments and you've fallen through, you let people down, you let yourself down. So if you just do self-honesty without self-forgiveness, that's not best. So you need both, hand in hand, as two tools that you always have by your side as you walk through life. So you can be self-honest, looking at who are you really, who do you show up as, how do you express yourself, how do you convey and share and give the gift that is you. I know that's so cliche, but when you really get honest with yourself, you're going to realize you're good at certain things. And that is something that is your duty and your obligation to share with others. So you got to be honest with yourself. But then you also got to look at so we're talking about the good, but then the bad and the ugly. And self-forgiveness is a tool that you can always have and walk with you, so that no matter what comes up, you have the ability to handle it. Now, the last point I want to share here. So again, over the next 12 days, I have the next videos coming out about the principles. These are the principles that I live by, and that many others are living by. And this is how we actually affect real change in the world and create a world that's best for all, which also means best for you. So I suggest you keep watching and go back to day 1. Now, this is the last point I want to leave you with, and I touched on it earlier. Real self-honesty. Real self-honesty will show you that you and I are actually the same. We're reflections. We're equal. And any way in which you or I are acting in a way that's actually harming the other person, it's literally harming ourselves. And there will be consequence. You may find the consequence in a day, or a week, or a month, or a year, or on your deathbed. And you will feel regret like you have never even known is there. But it's there, because on that last breath, you will be self-honest. And you'll realize either you wasted your entire life chasing a mirage, being dishonest, or at a certain point you realize, you know what, I'm going to be self-honest. I may not know how, but I got to get honest with myself. My life is not where I want it to be. My life sucks compared to what it could be. And then it's being honest in the process of actually designing your life in a way so that's actually supportive for yourself and for others. And we'll get into that. But that self-honesty, ask yourself this question. I suggest you write it down. At the very least, ask yourself this question. Am I being honest with myself? Yes or no? And then the last question. Where do I need to be honest with myself? And only you know that answer. Haha, self-honesty. You don't have to post it in the comments. It's not honesty for the public. It's self-honesty. All right, you owe it to yourself. Thanks for watching.